Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV, and once again I'm joined by the beautiful bald head of Deneen. How you doing, mate? How's that time coming along?
Getting bolder by the day. Tan. I don't go out. I don't go out.
The shine.
When I go to work, it's the sun's not out, and when I come back, it's not hot enough. So I never get a tan.
No, I'm asking, do you use Mr. Sheen on your bonds like I do? Mr. Sheen, shine it up and.
Oh yeah, when I pick it for a customer, I just give it a quick spray before I put it in the basket.
Oh dear, silliness abounds tonight, but it is very warm out there in Manchester. Where Bernard resides, just south of Manchester in Altrincham.
Posh, I'm in the posh area, yes, posh.
You're in Cheshire.
Cheshire, yes. Cheshire sets. Cheshire house husbands. I'm on it, yes. I'm starting that one.
Are you really a Mancunian then? Are you a like Man City? That's the question.
Well, does Prestwich and Withington count? I think it does.
Yeah, I'll go on that. I'll let you. You're only far. Do you live closer to Old Trafford than to?
Oh yeah, I have to pass Old Trafford to get to the Etihad. Of course I do. Yeah.
Oh dear me. Anyway, I'm closer to the Etihad than I am to Old Trafford. Anyway, we're here to talk about our club captain Ilkay Gundogan, and obviously you've seen him performing at an imperious level for City last couple of seasons, especially. But for most of his career, he's been here 7 years. Pep's first signing, even when he was injured, he came over for about 20 million quid, and he's had a superb 7 seasons at City. He had a couple of injuries, but pretty much he's been rock solid, putting in good performances on a regular, consistent basis. Club captain, he's had the honour, the distinction, as Khaldun Al-Mubarak, chairman, said, he's going to go down in City folklore for lifting the Premier League, then lifting the FA Cup, and then lifting the Champions League trophy. But his contract has expired, and he's not signed a new contract. Now, on international duty with Germany, he has been peppered with questions because people want to know what he's going to do. And he's tried to flat back them and say he hasn't made his mind up. But, guys, the season's gone. It's finished. And you haven't signed anything. You know, he was pushed, and he did mention that Barcelona is a beautiful city. He mentioned that Barcelona is a beautiful city, but how much you can draw into that, I'm not so sure. He's not going to say Barcelona's pig ugly, is it? It's like, you know, it's like Ancoats used to be 20 years ago. He's not going to like, you know, down Tib Street on a Friday night at 10 o'clock at night. So I think that's just a by the by. So a lot of pressure being put on him. And here's the thing, he's got options. It looks like he's got a lot of options because he's a top player available on a free transfer. Now, we know free doesn't mean free. There'll probably be a hefty signing on bonus. I think that's going to be at least 10 million quid. I can't see anybody paying less than that, because if they wanted to buy Gundogan now, they might be paying 30 million quid, let's say, for 2 seasons of Gundogan. So I think he'll get a big signing on bonus. But clubs that are apparently interested, Arsenal, obviously the Arteta link. That's City's B team, because last season they took Zinchenko and Jesus from us, and they're linked with Gundogan and others. So there's Arsenal, there's Barcelona, who are interested in Dortmund. He was asked about Dortmund, he said no. He's without saying it, I think he's basically saying he's too good at this stage of his career to go back to Dortmund. He wants to. He's a winner. He's winning stuff. And Dortmund imploded this year. Or they should have won the league. They didn't. Bayern won it again. So Barcelona, I don't think they'll be challenging. I don't think they've got the money, but I think that's the feeling I get. That's where his heart is to go to Barcelona. Now, very quickly, I'll talk a little bit about numbers. He's played only 188 games. And that's actually quite low. When we talked about Bernardo Silva recently, he's played 200 league games, but Gundogan's played 188 games. He's scored 44 league goals. In total, he's played 304 times for City with 60 goals, which is a 1 in 5, which is pretty decent. And he had a great season 2 years ago when we had the false nine. He's got 13 goals in 28 games. That's 1 in every 2. That's better than a lot of strikers in the Premier League. This season and last season, he scored 8 league goals, which is still pretty decent. The last 3 seasons have been much better than his previous 4 seasons at City, or 3.5, because first season he only played 10 games, where he managed to score 15 goals in 3 and a bit seasons. So he's done really well at City. And obviously, he scored so many crucial goals. Crucial goals. We saw the goals in the FA Cup final. We saw the goals last season against Aston Villa when we were 2-0 down. He came on as a sub, and he turned that game around. So I'll ask you this question before I talk about an option that has been mentioned about where he could go, and a swap deal. Is Gundogan, after 7 seasons, is he worthy of a statue yet? And how? What are your feelings on Gundogan? Is he legendary enough to get a statue, or not legendary enough, and he ends up with a mosaic or a training pitch named after?
I think we're in mosaic territory, to be honest with you. Even though he's been outstanding and he's pulled us through certain games, you don't have to go back to Villa last season. You have to go back to the FA Cup this season and a couple of other games. What's amazed me about Gundo this season is that I think whether it's because Pep's been messing around in midfield, trying different things, and moving midfielders to left back and moving central defenders into midfield and stuff like this. I think Gundogan's had a freer reign this season, and I think the Premier League he's my top-rated player in the Premier League this season for City. I think he was Manchester Evening News' top 2 as well when I look at their ratings. And I think we've seen that. He's not been quite as influential perhaps in the Champions League as he has been previous seasons, but obviously influential enough. But yeah, I think in the Premier League, I think with Pep experimenting, I think he's been the steady Eddie in the middle there, that all around him, other people, Rico Lewis has been coming in and doing things. But Gundo's the steady guy there. He's the guy that, right, you've got Rodri, but Gundo sort of covers for everybody. He's there in and around. He's quite capable of getting up and scoring the odd goal, as we know, crucial goals. But I think he's had that role, and perhaps he wants a bit more. Perhaps he, he's happy. He's reasonably happy, but perhaps he does want a bit more. I don't know if money's a big thing for him. I don't know if he's worried about too much about that. I mean, of course, we were in Istanbul last week, and I think he would go back to one of the Turkish teams or something like that to finish off his career, something like that. Money's not a big thing in his life, but
it's too good. Yeah. He's too good. That's what I mean. As I said, he was asked about going back to Dortmund, and he's not saying that's not the option.
So he's still got ambitions, which is quite hard. And we've talked about other players, but now with what we've done, what City have just done, it's easy just to say, "Well, I've done it. What do I do?" But obviously, that's if you're a footballer. Most footballers will want to drive on and try to get better, and we can get better. City can get better, but as you say with Gundo, he's edging the question. I've seen today on Twitter and various places he's going to do a year plus with the year added on. I don't know where all this is coming from.
I think what City tend to do is offer a 12-month contract with an option for another 12 months. Now, but that option isn't the players. It's the clubs.
And he started only getting totally started 45 out of the 60 competitive games this season, which is a hell of a lot. That's one of the higher figures for the outfield. Ederson only started 46. Obviously, he didn't start the FA Cups and the Carabao Cup, so that's impressive. I don't think there's anybody else. Just Haaland, Rodri, and that's it. Bettered that, and Ederson, of course, slightly bettered that. So he was a staple of that team. And I mean, you talk about this guy. I mean, obviously, I queried Turkey there, didn't I? But I don't want him to go to an English club. I wouldn't want him to go, say, to Arsenal. I'd read it because he will improve any English team at the moment. He will improve them, and we've talked about other players who could improve teams like Laporte and Gundogan specifically. He won't. His level won't suddenly drop just because he's gone to another team. He'll play at that level. Germany, for me, when I've watched him the last 2 or 3 times when I watched the World Cup last year, when we watched the World. You know, he's pulling the strings. He's the guy controlling it, and he's an asset to any club, English or foreign.
The thing about him is he's got that calmness, that composure. You know, as I said, he's captain. He's got that, obviously, some leadership qualities there.
Once he got over his injury problem, he doesn't seem to have the injury problems now either that he had in the early doors, obviously.
Well, his record at City, the first season he played 10 times. His record after that has been impeccable. 30 league games. I'm just going through the league games. 30 league games. 31.
I can't remember him being injured much, you know, where he's got a niggle or anything like that.
In the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, the fewest or the least number of games he's played is 27 in the league. But that season he still played 43 games. You know, this season he's played 50. He's played in 51 games, which is the most he's ever played at City. Previously, it's been 50. We've got the Club World Cup and Super Cup and stuff. So, you know, players could be playing, top players could be playing well over 50 games next season. But you're right. If he goes anywhere, it's his calmness, it's his composure, his control, and he'll pass that on to players and instill calmness and control in them. Now, we talk about Arsenal because obviously there's a link with him going to Arsenal. The Arteta's there. Obviously, Gabi Jesus is there. Obviously, Oleksiy Zinchenko's there. And that, he would help. One of Arsenal's problems this season was they were fantastic at the start of the season when they had no fear, no pressure. But once the pressure came, they crumbled. And some of the young players didn't. They you know, couldn't pass water at times, but some of the younger players just crumbled. And I think Ilkay Gundogan will hold them together. So for those reasons, I do not want him to go to Arsenal. There is a but, and Pat Nevin said today, there's talk, obviously, Arsenal bidding for Declan Rice. They've put in, I think, a bid of £80 million plus 10 million and add-ons, which was flatly refused by West Ham last week. And I think it was David Ornstein who said something about that. Now, Pat Nevin basically said, look at the future, okay? Declan Rice is young. Ilkay Gundogan isn't. Basically, Ilkay Gundogan is 32 years old. He'll be 33 in October. Declan Rice is 24. And Pat Nevin basically said something like, in 4 years' time, Gundogan will not be that player that you want. In 4 years' time.
We would be on a beach somewhere, won't we? In 4 years' time.
In 4 years' time, Declan Rice will be. He'll be 28. He'll be at the top of his game. And Pat Nevin's basically saying, let Gundogan go to Arsenal if you can steal Rice. If you can get Declan Rice and let Gundogan go, that's a great deal. One thing we haven't mentioned, the elephant in the room, is the Saudi connection, because obviously the Saudis can go and offer Gundogan an incredible amount of money, 40, 50 million a season. You know, his contract's finished at City, so we won't get a fee. But that's another one. I don't know. I've said it before. There's always a number that people who say no. How much? You know, they'll say we'll offer you 20 million a year. No. 30 million. No. 40 million. 60 million. Where's the contract? I mean, no, come on. If Saudi come knocking, I mean, all right, it's hard to imagine. And we can put yourself in Gundogan's shoes. His wife will complain if you put yourself in his shoes. But anyway, in Gundogan's shoes, let's say he's on 200 grand a week. He's earning 12 million quid a year from City. 12 million quid a year. Would you go to Saudi Arabia for 20 million a year for a 3-year contract?
Tax-free, yeah.
You all right. But actually, I mentioned this the other day. Tax makes a difference, because if you're earning 12 million, you might take 7 million quid home in your pocket. Yeah. You're earning 20 million, you're keeping 20 million. In 3 years' time, you've got 21 versus 60 million. Huge difference. Incredibly difficult
for Gundogan as well. He's got to go somewhere where he feels he can achieve something as well. He's not just going to go, as you say, if he goes Saudi, it will be for the money. But as you say, there is a level. At what level does it become? Oh, well, I've done everything. I'll do that. You know what I mean? I'm still hopeful that, obviously, even though he's hedging his bets, he'll still be with us for a couple of years yet. But where's he? You know, I just don't know where. You know, as you say, there's limited amount of teams. Arsenal, for instance, if he goes there, is he going to do anything? He will certainly improve Arsenal, and I think Declan Rice. I think to Arsenal, even though obviously he's only there for a couple of years or 3 years at most, he's a better fit than Declan Rice at the moment, because all you're doing is throwing Declan Rice, who's not. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he's got to be thrown in with the younger. I don't know what their average age is at Arsenal. I assume they're a very young team, but I think they need a couple of older heads. I think, all right, they had Gundogan and Rice, even better, because he can learn off Gundo.
From a financial point of view, obviously, if they get Gundogan, let's say they pay 10 million signing on bonus or 20 million. To get Declan Rice, they're going to pay West Ham 100 million and probably still pay a 10 million pound signing on bonus. So, the difference is going to be 80, 90 million quid. And Declan Rice is probably going to earn a bit more money than Ilkay would at Arsenal. But
I just dread it. I think we've learned. I'm not saying it was a mistake. I still think particularly it was a mistake, like letting Jesus and Zinchenko go. It's fair enough. It did improve Arsenal, but thankfully not enough to hinder us. But we start letting people like Gundo or Laporte go to Arsenal, then we want to give our heads a slap.
You look at it and say, well, hang on, if for argument's sake, Laporte and Gundogan end up at Arsenal, you think, well, that's 4 of our players that you wouldn't complain too much if they're in the first team. You wouldn't complain. If I had a team that had Gabriel Jesus, Zinchenko, Gundogan and Laporte in, it's probably going to be a decent side. And add to that people like Saka, people like Nketiah, I think is pretty decent. Martinelli, Odegaard, who I absolutely rave about. Odegaard, that's a good side. That's a really decent side. And they got
Gundo there. He releases those players as well to do more things, and that's the whole point of Gundo. He's allowing other players to do bits that they can't do at the moment because they're under too much pressure in that middle of the park.
So I'll throw that question to you, Ben. I'll finish with this question. I think I know the answer, but would you, on the basis that, would you let Gundogan go to Arsenal if you could get Declan Rice? How does that sound?
If there was no other option, yes. But I would like another option, please.
Honestly, my option.
It's like when people will say, "Would you rather win the FA Cup against United or the Champions League?" I mean, I'm looking at that and thinking, well, I'm not going to answer it because I want another option. I want to win both, so it's as simple as that. But
I mean, we said I think last week when we did a video about Calvin Phillips and Rice and stuff in City, and I said for me, what I would like is get Declan Rice in and send Calvin Phillips to West Ham. West Ham will be happy. They've got another England player. And as I said it before, we will have stopped Arsenal strengthening their team by not allowing them to get Declan Rice. And hopefully, with 2 years under Pep, the kid will be 26 years old. He'll be kissing the blue badge. It'll be like that. Forget that is any old iron. He'll be kissing the blue badge. And 2 years under Pep, he could be an awesome player. Look at what Johnny Stones is doing now. Look at the levels he's at. Look at levels other players. Look at Rico Lewis. Look at the levels that play. Look, we've got to say, I think Gundogan's playing better than in the last 2-3 years than he has in his career at City. Look at Bernardo's had generally he's been on an upward curve. Grealish has turned it around. Pep makes players better, and I think in 2 years' time, Rice would be incredible at City. I think he has that potential. But I think if we had a choice, we both want Gundogan to stay at City because he's got that experience. We don't want to lose that, especially just some low level team like Arsenal. We want to keep the cream at the top. Bernard, mate, thank you so much for contributing to this video. Your words of wisdom are always so insightful. Get that, send you that money in a minute, Bernard. Write you a check.
Yes, I got your arm up the back there now. We are in the same office. It's just very cleverly done.
Yeah. But guys, thanks to Bernard. Thank you everybody for watching this video about Ilkay Gundogan and potentially leaving, and maybe Declan Rice coming to City.
Just one quick thing before we go. Yeah. Why aren't Newcastle being linked to these sort of players?
Our exes? I don't know. I really don't know.
They're the sort of team I thought would be after someone like Laporte, Gundogan.
I think from what I'm hearing, they're after young players, younger upcoming players. They don't want, the final piece. This maybe they've been missing out here, but and also it's the attraction. I can't see Gundogan going to Newcastle.
Yeah, why bother trying if you're going to get turned down? Yeah, it's probably fair enough.
I can't see him going to live there, and it's not a big enough draw.
I mean, Bernardo wouldn't go if he wants the warmth. He's not going to go up there, is he?
All right, guys.
Anyway, sorry, I digressed. Cheers,
right,
guys.
And thanks to you all on YouTube for watching this video. And if you could subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. It would be lovely to inch closer to 1,300 subscribers on the channel. If you can hit that bell icon, hopefully you'll be notified as soon as new videos come out. We'll see you around, Blues.